Hey guys, today I'm doing a for fun DIY, what I call a 90s gnome. These gnomes are easy to make, so customizable, and even if you don't like gnomes all that much, you can do what I do and make them for fun and give them away to family or friends that want them. A lot of people love gnomes. Let's get started. I've never made a gnome with legs before, so I thought I would give it a try this time. So if he's going to have legs, he's going to need some shoes. And I just got this pair for about $1 at Goodwill. They were on sale this day, and they're not quite the right color that I'm going for, so I'm just going to paint them with some acrylic black paint. This acrylic paint surprised me in that it gave great coverage. I only needed to do one coat of this black paint and it covered up that pattern, that camouflage completely. For the body, I'm going to use this sock that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using both of the socks in this gnome craft today, but I'm just putting lentils in it. You can use sand or whatever you have. Lentils is just what I had. I didn't have any sand, so I'm going to put this in the bottom so that it will weight the gnome down so he'll sit on the shelf, and then top that off with some batting. I was trying to sort of mimic the type of Vans that I wore in the 90s. I know that in the early 90s, I believe people more wore the Converse, the sort of more skinny shoe. But then toward the end of the 90s, I wore Vans. They were kind of chunkier, and they had this detail on the side of them. So you can decorate your shoe however you like, try to mimic, whatever type of shoe that you like. But I'm just sort of looking at a picture of the type that I wore back then and just trying to mimic the design on the side with some white acrylic paint. I'm tying off the top of this sock with a hair ponytail ring from the Dollar Tree, but you'll want to reinforce that, use some twine and something else to tie it with if you're wanting this craft to last, because I'd say that ponytail ring won't last forever. But I'm going to be using this scarf that I got from the Dollar Tree to just sort of resemble a flannel shirt. And I'm just simply rolling it on there and hot gluing it. I got this beanie here from the Goodwill, and it was a little bit too large, as you can see here, covered about half of the gnome's torso. So I'm just going to flip it inside out and cut out a section and then fold, bring the bottom of the hat up to fold it on itself. It's easier to watch and observe than how I'm explaining it, but just to make the hat a little bit smaller. You'll want to go all the way around with hot glue on the inside so that the hat stays together. I'm using this yarn from the Dollar Tree. There's the color parchment. And I didn't have any fur, so I've used yarn in the past on the wizard gnome, and I liked the look of it fine. Yeah, fur probably would look better, faux fur, but this is just what I had, so it's what I used. I just wrapped it around this cutting mat from the Dollar Tree just to make even lengths of it. And I'm just going to hot glue that right to the top of the torso there of our gnome. To give the hair a little bit of texture and just a little bit different of a look, I decided to add in some twine from the Dollar Tree as well. And so just mixing it in so that there's, you know, pieces of twine and pieces of the yarn. I think it gave it a good look. You know, kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, but, you know, like a lead singer of a band in the 90s would have looked. I guess maybe like a Rob Zombie look. I'm not sure. A lot of them that we listened to back then, they didn't look like they owned showers. So, which we didn't care, but that's sort of the look I'm going for here. And I really like the look of how his beard turned out. For the sleeves, I'm just making a couple of tubes out of the scarf that I used for the rest of the shirt. And I always like to round off the top end. No one's probably going to look underneath the hat, and most of the time we glue the hat down anyway to the body. But just in case anybody looked up in there, you know, it would be a more rounded off, nicer look at the shoulder. Something else new that I'm doing this time is using these hair rollers for the arms, for the inside of the arms and legs. And this roller was a little bit not too long, but I wanted to sort of taper off the end, and I didn't want there to be a harsh drop off in the shape, if that makes sense, up at the shoulder. I wanted to be able to not see the top of the arm through the hat. So I wanted the fabric to be able to lay flat underneath his hat at the top of his arm. So I just cut some of that away, and the hands are going to be just wooden beads that I glue, and I use a good bit of hot glue and then even go back after it cooled off and added more around. And just to hide the hole in the beads, I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue on each side and then attach the end of the sleeve there to the bead. Now you could stop right here. I mean, this gnome looks fine. He doesn't have to have legs. I think it looks like a completed gnome, but I wanted to go a little bit further this time because I've never made one with legs before, and so that's what we'll do next. I just wanted to show you here the pack of rollers that I used that were from the Dollar Tree. And now I'm going to put them inside. I'm just going to use, because I had so much of this scarf left, I'm going to use it to bulk up the legs. I don't want the legs to just be sort of a little bit of batting, and I didn't want them to be like stiff, batting to where there was no bend at the knee. And so that's why I'm using this roller, is just to create a bendable knee so that whatever you set him on, you'll be able to shape his legs to whatever shelf or whatever that you set him on. So I'm just, hot gluing the roller inside and then just rolling it up to about the thickness that I want the leg to be. Now I'm going to use this other sock as essentially as the skin color for the feet and legs. I'm going to put some holes in his jeans, and so underneath those holes I want to not be seeing, any, the roller, the hair roller, or the, scarf. I want it to be sort of a skin color. So I'm just going to first put some batting down in this sock, this half of a sock that I glued, that I closed shut. And then I'm just using a paintbrush and stuffing that down into the bottom to act as a foot. And then I'll put the rolled up hair roller behind that. And you don't have to do that. I mean, I've seen, most people just stuff the pant legs with batting and call it a day. You really can go as far as you want to with details on these, whatever it is that you want to do. But I'm just using an old pair of jeans that I didn't want anymore, and I'm going to just cut off, a rectangle out of the bottom of, the leg of the jeans. And I am going to sort of do a fake hem there so it looks nicer, and then close up the leg of his pant leg with some hot glue. Once you cut as many holes as you want in his jeans, just take your fingernail or some other, scraper and just scrape at it. That way you can actually see the outside of the hole there to make it look a little more worn and natural. I also took a little bit off the bottom as well and just frayed that a little bit. I kind of think I should have went further with it and made them look a little more worn, but it was enough. His leg and foot, they definitely look janky, but once you get it down, glued inside the shoe, and get the pant leg over it, I mean, you cannot tell what's going on underneath there, and you can't see all of that. So it looks like a good finished product at the end. And I even took I don't know if I showed it, but I even took a little bit of hot glue just to attach the back bottom of his pant legs to the back of the shoe so that it wouldn't ever ride up. The legs were looking a little bit long, and so I went ahead and cut them down some. And now I wish I would have went even further and cut them down even a little more short. Some gnomes have long, unusually long legs, and some have very short legs. I mean, it's all whatever your interpretation is of a gnome. But I just glued the pant legs together at the top, and this is going to go underneath him. And then I put a liberal amount of hot glue and just set him right down on top of the tops of his pant legs. And then I went back once that glue set up, and I just cleaned it up and secured it some more with hot glue. And then I'm going to take a rectangle of the blue jean material and go ahead and just patch that on the bottom so that you can't see, his little bum underneath there. If someone lifted him up, which they probably won't, but just to make it look a little more finished up underneath him. I wanted his shoes to have shoelaces, and I considered punching holes and running some shoelaces in, lacing them up in the holes, but to make it easy, I just tied some shoestring bows and hot glued them onto each shoe. Thank you for watching today. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. That helps my channel to grow. If you're into gnomes, I do have a playlist of the ones I've made, and I will put the link to that playlist in the description box of this video. I usually do Dollar Tree DIYs, mostly home decor, but occasionally I'll throw in something different like this gnome. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you next time.